Okay, so we finished the last video where we had pushed the fix bug branch and created a pull request. So let's dig a little bit more into what happened. So first of all, let's take a look at git remote-v. This shows us that GH under the hood created another remote, which is named fork, which points to the fork of the repository which is owned by your own user. Instead, the origin remote points upstream to the repository owned by Zonka. And the fix bug branch was pushed to the fork repository. That's the only one you have access to for writing. And then through GitHub, we created a pull request that goes from fix bug, which is into the fork repository, to the origin repository owned by Zonka. So once that's merged in, the bug is going to be fixed. But oftentimes, by the time you are working on your feature branch to develop a feature or fix a bug, there are often other developments by the original developer into the main branch. And to simulate that, I just merged another commit to the repository. So if you open the repository in your browser, you see that there is another commit that wasn't there before, which is named implement pounds to kilogram. Okay, so I just implemented a new conversion function in Python. So we can take a look at that commit. Okay, adds a function. Now, what we want to do is we always want to have our branch, our feature branch, to be up to date with the latest developments that are on main. That's very useful. For example, if we are implementing a new feature, we want to make sure that our new feature works fine with the very last version of the software, which is in main. Okay, so there are two techniques in Git for synchronizing the two different branches. One is rebasing and one is merging. So let's start from rebasing. Okay, but even before that, we want to get the latest version of main into our local checkout of the repository on Expanse. Okay, so we take a look. We are in the fix bug branch. So what we want to do first is to get to main. So we do git checkout main. Okay. Then we want to do a fetch so that we synchronize, we get the last version from GitHub. And so now if we do git status, we're gonna see that we are behind. Okay, the good news is that it's a very easy situation. We just have one commit which is missing, so we can just do git. The easiest thing is just to do a git pull. Here we go. Now, if we do a git log, we find that we have the implement pounds to kilogram here. Okay. You see instead that in the fork, we are back at this stage. Now, we go back to our branch. Okay. It's very easy in Git to create new branches. So when you are doing something which is rewriting history, it's always good practice to test it first in new branch so that whatever happens, you can go back to the previous branch without having to do complicated tweaks to undo something, some wrong operation that you made. Okay, so we can do a git checkout -p fix bug rebase. Okay, so this is currently just a copy of the fix bug branch, and then we want to do a git rebase of this on top of main. Okay, so what the rebasing is doing is going to go back at the common commit between the two. So basically undoing our fix, then updating the main branch to the last status of the main branch. So basically adding the commit that I made, and then finally applying the patch again on top of it. So it's explained here quickly. So if we do git log --graph --1line-5, okay, so we see that the history is just linear. So we have the old commits down here. Then we have the new commit that was added by the original developer here. Okay, and then the fix, which is here. Okay, so rebase is the more straightforward way of merging, of including, of synchronizing the two branches. Okay, so now let's take a look instead what happens if we do the merge. Okay, so let's go back to fix bug. We create another branch. And then we do a merge. So do git merge main. Okay, so you see this is creating a merge commit. Here we go. Okay, so if we look at the history again, so remember the other one was very easily just a linear one. Let's take a look at this one instead. Do a clear, so we look at better. So you see what happens. Basically what we did is we added implements pounds to kilogram after our fix, and then we have created a merge commit. So this is an extra commit that tells Git how to basically merge these two diverging branches. Okay, so as a simple heuristic, what I recommend to do is to always try to rebase, because creates a simple history, but there are two cases where rebase is not suitable. And case number one is when there are so many changes, so many conflicts that you have to make a lot of edits to make the rebase work. Okay, that's when you are doing a very large change. In that case, usually doing a merge is easier. You basically handle the conflicts just at the end. Well, if you do a rebase, you have to handle conflicts at every commit, so it's really tedious. The second is when you are working on a branch with other collaborators. In that case, you never want to rewrite history. And rebase is rewriting history, while merge is not rewriting history. It's adding something on top of the old history. So if you are developing with someone else, you don't want to risk that they are losing some work that they did, because the you change the history of this branch. And so in that case, is another case you want to do a git merge.